Why do gods and spirits look like us? Well, first of all, they don't always look like us, but a lot of the time we'll see gods and spirits look like humanoids, look anthropomorphic. They might have different features. They might have kind of a really tall, protruding top of the skull, which represents the pineal gland. They might have longer teeth. They might have horns. They might have other animal attributes. But why do spirits and gods a lot of the time look like us in iconography? Is this anywhere close to the truth? Does this have anything to do with the actual nature of the gods and what we should expect them to look like? Well, it has a lot to do with expectation. So think of the gods and spirits as multifaceted beings who think of communication and can manifest various kinds of communication to degrees that are far beyond what a human being can do, at least a normal human being. Communication is not just language for them. They communicate on multiple levels. They communicate through transforming their nature or how they look, how they appear to us, to better convey communication to us. If a god is talking to a dog, it might look like a dog, so that the dog can better understand, because in that body form, they can communicate better as a dog would, or put off certain pheromones, or engage with other bodily chemicals that a dog would understand, at least on a subconscious level, how to communicate with, and would be able to pick up on the meaning. For a human being, human faces, we can tell expression that conveys, can convey great love, fear, seriousness, all the different human emotions. With a human face, a god can communicate to us better. Of course, also language helps, but think of how gods and spirits appear as another level, another layer of language. And their very chemistry might change itself, not just how they appear, but they might actually use human chemicals and how when they communicate, so that we pick up on those chemicals, those scents, those very sounds and touch, things like that. I remember that if there's a few times, at least once, when Zeus in their, in Greek, for the Greek gods and those who worship them, and in the stories, when Zeus appears to a mortal woman, she can't take it, and then she just dies. This could refer to some kind of sexual exchange, but a lot of the time, it does speak about in myths, and then also in worship and scriptures. When a true form is revealed, it's a little bit too much. Like Krishna, when Arjuna wanted to see his true form. He wanted to see what Krishna actually looked like rather than this being that he saw before him. And Krishna became this very big size, and then Arjuna saw all these worlds coming out from his hair, basically kind of being created out of his hair, and all these other worlds throwing themselves into his mouth because they wanted to be destroyed. And there was a number of other physical attributes. He had that his chakra weapon around his finger. Everything was so big. Everything was so overblown. And honestly, the way that gods communicate, it would be energetically overwhelming. Not just because you're big, not just because it has certain sound and this vastness that a god or a spirit is, but the very energy that we witness. If we witness it, we will witness it on an astral level, on a physical, like a material level, and other levels. And all of our different bodies that we're made up of might not be able to handle it. We might just be overwhelmed. That's why Arjuna says to Krishna, I'm shaken to the depths. Please return to the form that I know you as. By the way, Krishna, the reason that he's blue, there's a number of different reasons, but because he's showing that he's causal, that he's kind of the cause of things, and the preserver of things in that form, but also kind of the creator in a way. Causal mean he's the cause for a lot of things, and he's also blue because if you see the ocean from a distance, then it looks blue. The closer that you get to it, it starts becoming more gray or greenish or clear. When you pick up a little bit of the water, it's clear. So the further you are away from God, we're seeing Krishna over all these eons of time, or all these hundreds or thousands of years. And it's showing us that we're just seeing him from far away. Even he appeared as blue to people around him, which means they could see him, but they are seeing him from far away. His image that he was presenting was a far away way of seeing God, rather than actually experiencing God, rather than picking it up and seeing things clearly, seeing the water clearly. very far back, and that's what blue also represents. So a lot of symbolism. If we're talking about sometimes names and the symbols of names also, they have an effect. So this isn't necessarily about them appearing as human beings or something like that, but this kind of gets to another level. So this is an example that some of the people that watch me will kind of understand and others will not. But Jesus Christ and Lucifer are both called the morning star. So there's a few ways to look at this. So one way is that they're both called the morning star. They must be the same person. They must perform the same function. Lucifer and Jesus, those are just synonyms describing the same being because of the description of the morning star and light and guidance, the various things that these two beings do or represent or their function. To somebody that doesn't believe that, someone like a Christian, for instance, they might look at Lucifer as lying, as being Lucifer also being described as a morning star, as being performing the same function but in reverse, in the inverse aspect of Christ being Lucifer, where it's the same thing but it's the same lane, just flipped. Just like I heard a Catholic priest, an exorcist actually, talk about how that Lucifer is the inverse of Christ, morning star, light bearer, and the Holy Spirit, the inverse is Beelzebub, and Beelzebub is kind of decay. I remember seeing in an occult book, something about loving the putrefaction of your dirty soul or something like that. But basically, Beelzebub is decay. It is not death, because death is a transition, but the opposite of life in every sense, to where it is sickness and decay and plague and disease and those things that look like life, that feed on life, but are really little portals that tear things apart. And I think that same exorcist said that Satan and God Satan is the inverse of God. God always tells the truth, and Satan always tells lies, and Satan he's the most complete aspect that was cast down, according to this Christian, this Catholic priest, this exorcist. Regardless, there's different ways that they appear that make different beings similar. If we look at Aphrodite, she is described as being aligned with Venus, the planet, but so is Ishtar and Inanna. Same planet, and all of these beings are described as goddesses of love / fertility, and not so much with Aphrodite, but Inanna and Ishtar, they are described as being goddesses of war. Aphrodite, associated with war, associated with Ares. She isn't Ares, she isn't war itself, but she is in a relationship with Ares. She is a lover of Ares, and their daughter is Harmony. So you see how these things can relate. And sometimes fertility and love are the same thing, different cultures. And sometimes war is paired with like beauty or love or peace. It just depends on the conception. Now, is Aphrodite Inanna? Is Aphrodite also Ishtar? I used to think things like that. I used to come at things from that perspective. I've come to understand that ultimately I'm a Shakta and very Vedanta influenced. Ultimately, everything's a part of the same thing. Sure. But the way that we relate to things, how we categorize things, I don't think they're the same goddess. I don't think if you're calling out to Aphrodite that you're talking to Ishtar and Inanna. That as much as things are different in the world, like one human being to another, the gods and goddesses are different. We picked up this thing from the Romans where there's a lot of people who like to say, do what the Romans did, before Christianity. Oh, okay, Odin, yeah, that's Hermes, that's Mercury, or Tyr, that's Ares, or that's Mars. But these comparisons, they're appreciative, and they're seemingly grasping these beings, but they're only grasping where they overlap and their similarities, rather than understanding them with the respect and dignity through their particular worshippers' vision or perception or understanding or actualization of their worship. So I like to take the significance of every single believer's way of looking at things and hold that as significant rather than just kind of trying to lump things together for sake of ease or trying to make some deep statement. I don't like to do that anymore. I also like to think of the avatars like Krishna and Christ as different. It's not the same being. While there's still like the representation of Godhead here for a specific person, for a specific purpose, for a specific lesson, they manifest as different beings at different times because they are significant in different ways. And because they're significant in different ways, their ways are just a little bit different. And we should value the individuality of goddesses and gods and avatars. Another way that we have to be careful in how we, when we anthropomorphize gods and goddesses, we also have to be careful not to, in short, sexualize them. So the way that we as an individual relate to different gods and goddesses and spirits, different entities like this, I'm not saying spirits and gods are the same thing, but, I'm talking about things that overlap between these beings. Even if I understand them as being the same thing, which I don't necessarily, that doesn't mean I look at them the same way, or I force my conception onto everybody else, or go about how they're, the same thing. I'm just talking about these two things that are other than us that happen to have this overlap. So we have to be careful in placing our value as a defining factor for these gods and goddesses and spirits. And this kind of gets at how they show themselves to us, because when they're showing themselves to us in the context that they need to communicate or interact with us, they are in a way they're coming down to our level. They're showing us and communicating with us in a way that's sensitive to us or is useful to us. But we have to be careful in viewing them in ways that are useful to us. So if they make that decision, that's good. But if we make the decision, like for instance, Ma Kali, standing on top of Shiva back there, she is a lot of people like to sexualize that. So while Kali and Shiva are, consorts, lovers, relations of the divine that are locked in a deeper cosmic relationship, we have to make sure not to think of it as sexual like humans are. Not read into it as Kali is dominating Shiva or Shiva is submissive and Kali is dominant sexually. That is making things so convenient that we miss for ourselves, that we miss the point, and we miss the purpose and the divinity of these beings. We're kind of also materializing them when we're doing that. So we have to be careful for sexualizing things like that. For instance, some believe that Lilith and Kali, not very many, but there's this trend that Kali and Lilith are the same entity, the same being, because they both represent the equality and feminine power, females not being submissive. Kali represents really equality rather than, she has wild hair, just like Lilith is depicted. And that's, represents freedom, not bound hair. And then Kali is, very sparsely dressed, and, what she's wearing is also very symbolic, but very sparsely dressed, free, not bound. Now Lilith, she's also depicted as, very independent. Whether you want to call her a daemon or a demon or a goddess, whatever you want to call her, she's depicted as being very independent. In the Bible, it's talked about, this has a lot of overlap with Mesopotamian cultures, of course, and rabbinic, texts and understanding, of course. But she's often said to be the first wife that God made for Adam, and then she wouldn't, submit to him, bow before him. So she was kind of tossed aside, and Adam was given Eve. Now, whether you believe this story is like literally true or figuratively true, it's either way. That does represent female empowerment, not submitting to a man. Kali and Lilith have this overlap, but they are not the same being. Kali is about not being slave to sexual, not material desire, freeing oneself from material desire, not valuing it over the embracing of the soul and the liberation from material existence, allowing yourself to not be attached to the things that continue your cycle of birth, death, and rebirth into this world, but seeking moksha and liberation, like Sri Ramakrishna and Paramahansa Yogananda and Babaji. Babaji as well, yeah, and Vivekananda. All these men really revered Ma Kali because she is about they're on the path of getting over material desire and attachment to material, and she is the goddess for that. Now, Lilith, not so much. Goddess of sexual freedom, yes, but also really like holding on to that, enjoying it, and kind of being proud of it. Which is fine. It's not bad, but that makes them not the same entity. That's one detail of this. Also, Lilith, Ma Kali protects children. Even the symbols are not like, even the skulls around her neck are not baby heads or anything like that. They are skulls of ego and represent letters of Sanskrit alphabet, which means she dominates language. She's not dominated by it. Lilith is often, described as, killing human babies. Now, whether you want to look at this as symbolic, it's kind of hard to make it symbolic, but it definitely doesn't represent ego because she does have a lot of qualities that make her attached to material desire, attached to sexual pleasure and desire. She's very much incorporated with the birthing process as well. In Mesopotamia, women would make little talismans and recite a chant because Lilith was the goddess or demoness of, troubles in childbirth. And even if she's not depicted, even if you take the killing of infants as I don't know what you would be an analogy to, but even if you think that is metaphorical, Lilith is definitely associated with bad things that happen in childbirth and revenge. Whereas, Ma Kali is very much associated with the things that hold human beings back. And if they're demons that hold us back, she doesn't take them out because of revenge. It's because she loves her children. She wants us to be free of what demons or rakshasas do to us, or some people think they're asuras. I'm just using demons for the sake of convenience and the sake of being able to communicate, what I'm talking about. But yeah, so there's overlap, but let's not take the overlap to such an extent that we completely misunderstand a being and do not understand them in their own context. And be careful with personal gnosis, because if you're having the same personal gnosis as other people around you, or a big section of the community, it's probably not personal gnosis. It's probably a trend that you're taking up. And there's a lot of trends in comparing gods and spirits and things. And I did that for a long time, but I try not to anymore. I think I compared Krishna and Odin and it wasn't Shango. It was another Avodu Loa. But I try not to do that anymore because you could say through personal gnosis, I realize that, I'm misunderstanding these beings because I'm trying to make it convenient in my head. So the way that they appear has significance, but they're doing it for us. But think of what they are deep down, what they represent and what they do, their function. That's very important in understanding these things. So, why do gods and spirits appear as human beings? It's to help us and communicate to us. And they appear these ways for a reason. They don't appear as the same because it's just something that, it's just some detail that doesn't matter. It does matter. They're appearing in a certain way at a certain time to certain people for a reason. But even if you find different beings similar, you have to see where the overlaps don't match. If you want to really get close to these beings and really understand these Loa or spirits or anything like that. That's how you can kind of understand try to understand why they're appearing as they do and kind of why they look humanoid a lot of the time. But yeah, so a lot of spirits and gods, and angels, they're described as, they're shown as appearing in, humanoid form. But other parts of the Bible, the ones that are more esoteric, talk about them being things with many eyes and wings on this sphere, but also appearing to us as something that we can communicate with, that we can understand, that it's not so outlandish and monstrous But either it makes us afraid, or it makes us not being able to focus on what they're trying to communicate. So it does happen for angels as well, and archangels. Demons are, I'm using the term demons very loosely. You know, there could be daemons, but in the various realms that they occupy, they often appear to us as having like overblown proportions based on what they're attached to, like huge genitalia, or big mouths that can eat more stuff, or having, you know, crow's body and human feet, or different things where if they're combining all these. That's not how they look. And it's pretty obvious with a lot of these demons or demon kings that they don't need to look like that. They appear to us with all these random parts because it's all very symbolic and they're trying to communicate something to us, but they're not being gentle. They're a big part of how they force communication and force, some people think, enlightenment. People who, you know, might call them daemons instead of demons, or even call them demons, that, you know, their own rebellion against the fabric of reality and how things appear and how they communicate, is what will liberate us, because we should not be confined, as they do not wish to be confined and aren't confined by the same parameters or the desire to communicate in the same ways. So when they appear in these strange forms like a crow with human feet or something like that, they're being very blunt, being very in your face, like, understand this, I don't care if it makes you comfortable, which is kind of an admirable quality if you like that vibe. And you know, there's more to, you know, demons in general, or daemons. But mainly, my point is that they might communicate in a different way. Of being a spirit, a daemon, a god or goddess might communicate in a different way by appearing very odd and monstrous, because they are communicating in your face. They are saying, you understand this. This is a truer form than if I appeared as something like you. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to wrap it up. But yeah, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, if you don't agree with me as far as, you know, not making comparisons between gods, for instance, I'll just throw a few more out there just so I get the point across. You might, you know, some people might compare, you could say, Athena to Ganesh. Ganesh, god of wisdom, destroying obstacles. Very clever, obviously, intelligent, very intelligent. Athena, goddess of wisdom. You know, Ganesh, wisdom, Athena, wisdom. Ganesh has weapons. Athena has weapons, but she's very much a god of war, whereas Ganesh is not. Their natures are different. And they appear very differently for different reasons, but yeah, they have overlap, but they're not the same entity. And there's no reason to also, even if beings are described as representing having the same planet, there's no reason to think they're the same being. At least I don't think so, because this will kind of not allow you to pierce towards their depths and get to know them. You should try to get to know them in the way that they appear to us, and not try to say that there's something else. It's a little bit disrespectful. It's like calling somebody by the wrong name. Even in understanding them that way, it's going to be hard to get closer to them. And usually if you want to get close to 1, 2, few, 4 or 5, let's say you have 4 spirits or gods, or a combination thereof, or demons or daemons, and these 4 you want to get really close to. And try not to mix them around with other cultures and other understandings, other spiritualities, other religions. It's a little bit, I think it's rude. I don't know. These are just my best guesses based on my personal gnosis, and also just respect for different cultures. So yeah, that's why gods, spirits, daemons, demons, that's why they appear as human beings, but they don't always. And here's some of the reasons why they don't. And why they appear very strange when you see them. It's very blunt when they're trying to do that, very, very like in your face. But yeah, anyway, I hope you found this informative. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, shoot them down in the comment section below on YouTube. Greatly appreciate it. Feel free to share this video wherever you like, as long as you give me credit. Though it's kind of hard not to give me credit because I'm obviously in it. And yeah, if you give this video a like down there, it really helps out the channel. It helps get traffic to this video and to other videos I have. At any rate, thank you very much for watching. Respect your various beings. I don't hate any of them. Just if you want to get close to them, just keep on respecting and try to understand them in the way that they so desire. At any rate, thank you very much for watching, and I hope all of you have a wonderful day.